My boob.
Just one.
It's the right one, if you must know. I'm Elsie.
I'm Meg.
I'm Laura.
And we are the Thots of Thots TV.
Are we? Is that the agreed upon?
The Thought.
Well, you joined this after it had been named, so you had the chance.
I just didn't know that we were the Thots.
When you say she had the chance, do you mean that when she joined, she had the chance to rename it?
Just to not join.
Oh, yeah. No, that's very fair, yeah.
Well, yeah, obviously we're the Thots, because it's Thots TV.
Yeah, imagine how left out you'd feel if Elsie said, me and Meg are the Thots, and you're just someone who tags along with the Thought.
I'm the TV.
In Tots TV, they're the Tots, aren't they?
And there's three of them.
I'm a Tot, je suis le Tot, Teeny Tot and Tiny. No, Teeny Tom and Tiny, isn't it?
I have no idea. I've never seen it.
Well, eventually you will.
Eventually.
This is a special episode. This is a departure from normal programming.
Yeah.
And, you know, CITV has departed from normal programming as well.
Well...
Oh, don't spoil it, Meg.
Yes, episode.
Everyone knows.
You know what Tots TV broadcast on?
CITV?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, inspired by you watched it live.
I watched the disembarkment of CITV.
Live.
What, live?
Yes,
Wow.
yeah.
Why?
Because I was at my boyfriend's house and I think he just read on Twitter or something that it was happening. Hadn't actually known beforehand that it was happening. Some reason it's slipped by me. And he was like, oh, shall I put it on and we'll see what happens? So we watched the last 15 minutes of of a cartoon. I can't remember the name of it, but Johnny Vegas.
I know what it was.
Voiced the main character. It was actually quite good. I really enjoyed it. Then it played the last roll of ads, and then their CITV is going online kind of
Just on a
roll.
loop. Yeah.
Not on a loop. They played it like 3 times, and then the channel was decommissioned and it was brought off the air.
I was going to say it's not weird for you to be out of the loop, considering we don't watch much children's TV, but actually we do consume quite a bit of children's TV, but none of it is live.
Like, because when CBeebies was being axed, I guess, I knew about that before it happened, but I found out about this 15 minutes before it happened.
So I was not going to lead with this, but I feel like maybe it's appropriate now. This is the memorial episode for CITV.
If you hadn't already guessed.
Yeah. Yes. And I'm quoting directly from CITV's Wikipedia page here. I'm going to say what they said about the death, the final few moments of CITV.
Death rattle.
Oh, you know what, actually? Play the sad music. The CITV channel closed at 9 p.m. on the 1st of September 2023. The last programme to air on the channel was an episode of The Rubbish World of Dave Spud, titled Moonbreaker. The channel then closed shortly afterwards with a loop informing its viewers that its content could now be seen on ITVX. So that was the last few moments.
It was a good episode.
CITV. Yeah.
I would watch more of it.
I was reading about this show, The Rubbish World of Dave Spud, and it sounds awesome.
Yeah, it was good.
It's set in Grimsby in a tower block.
Yeah, it is.
And Philip Glenister plays the mum.
Oh, really?
I'm going to read you the cast list,
How
actually.
is it that I Googled it to see if I was right about it being Johnny Vegas and completely glanced over Philip Glenister.
So Grimsby is in their neck of the woods. That's why they reacted like that, if you didn't know.
It's just a barren wasteland.
Hey.
It's the punching bag of your area.
It is the punching bag of our area.
Dracula went there.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Right? I don't remember.
No, God, you're thinking of Whitby.
Yeah, I'm thinking of Whitby.
I was going to say, I don't remember.
Dracula did go to
that
Grimsby.
they've really bill a brand off of Dracula landing in Grimsby. Oh my God, someone write that. Write that.
So, the voices of Johnny Vegas, Lisa Hammond, Philip Glenister, Arthur Smith, Jane Horrocks, Gina Yashmir, Adam Gillan, David Holt, and Akia Henry.
IKEA Henry?
Akia.
Okay.
Not IKEA.
The Wonderful
Akia.
Everyday.
IKEA.
The music is by Basement Jaxx.
Yeah, that's why it was good.
It's
good.
It sounds like something I would watch. It's described as a
corporate drama?
No, it's described as sitcom, fantasy, and deadpan humour.
Yeah. Oh well, when he put it on for us to see the demise, I didn't actually expect to sit and watch what was on, but I did.
Just a quick aside, ITVX so far not been a great service.
Well, a complaint that people have had about CITV moving on there is now it's called ITVX Kids.
Right.
Oh, the collaboration between
children and ITV.
Or porn for kids.
That's what it sounds like, isn't it?
Yeah. ITV porn.
Like fan fiction between ITV and children.
It's just a very unsavoury sounding name. I think it's really badly judged, actually.
No one young at all was involved in that. Like, no one.
Why is it called ITVX?
I sort of think the reason I didn't even hear about this is because, like, as a child, I wasn't a CITV child. And as an adult, I'm not an ITV adult. From Love Island.
I didn't think that I was a CITV child, and then I read a list of their shows.
I would put it on to watch certain shows, I remember, but I wouldn't have it running in the background. I would always have CBBC.
I was the same, and then I saw how many shows they did, and this is like going back, to the 80s. So Horrid Henry was.
We're alive.
Well, exactly, but like so many very famous shows are on here. I'm going to list them for you, right? Are you ready?
Yes.
My Parents Are Aliens, Jungle Run, Sooty, Rosie and Jim, Tots TV, Rainbow, Worst Witch, Danger Mouse, Wurzel Gummidge, Kipper, Horrid Henry, Fireman Sam, Thomas and Friends, Miffy, every version of Scooby-Doo, Grizzly Tales for Gruesome Kids, Art Attack, Bernard's Watch, Bananas in Pyjamas, Ben 10, Count Duckula, Curious George, Fraggle Rock, The Wombles, Megan Mogg, Paddington, and they also gave the world Stephen Mulhern. I'm
sorry, I didn't mean to gasp in the middle of your list if that was picked up, but I forgot about Kipper.
Yeah, Kipper! I know.
It's a bunch of those that I don't recognise at all.
Well, when I read... is there a bunch you do?
Less than half.
I recognised all of them.
That's because you had Nickelodeon. Yeah.
Nick Jr.
Shut the fuck up.
And Disney Channel. All of them.
We had Sky.
Yeah. When I found out that they did all of those, I was like, what the fuck did CBBC even broadcast? Like, they had Thomas and Friends.
The Scooby-Doo ones, well, I guess that there's a few that were licensed them from overseas, because like Ben 10.
Yes, Scooby-Doo. A lot of those were not ITV originals, but a lot of stuff was on ITV, which is...
I loved Art Attack. Like,
oh, yeah.
Super. I will just put it out there, I didn't realise when I was a kid that having Sky wasn't the norm. Like, I thought everyone had Sky.
Yeah, they did, CRTV did broadcast some things that when Laura was talking about Fairly Odd Parents, and you'd never heard of it, but I was like, oh, I must.
Oh, I've been heard of.
You've been informed.
I'm familiar.
When she first brought it up, you didn't know what it was. This is ages ago, not on the pod, just in conversation. You didn't know what it was.
Oh, right, okay.
And I'm right, aren't I?
I think I remember the first time you weren't sure what it was,
because
and then we told you, and you're like, oh, that one.
I was like, it must have been on Freeview at some point, because I remember watching it. And, like, some shows that, like, my boyfriend's been rewatching Recess, and I remember this, but he must have watched it on Disney Channel or Nick Jr. or something like that, but it was also broadcast on CITV. It makes sense
that they would be licensed to local British programmes as well as...
Well, it's interesting you say that, because for a while in the early 2000s, so just before CITV became its own channel, there was talk of a merge between Nickelodeon and ITV's children's block of programming.
Right.
And that it was sort of going backwards and forwards, and it got too complicated, and they decided that they wanted their own channel, and it didn't happen in the end. So I wasn't actually going to mention that because I've got a very abbreviated history of CITV right here. Are you happy to hear about that?
Yeah.
Cool, yeah, thank you.
Meg says as if
I
we
can't
have a choice.
hear you. This is a very brief history of children's programming on ITV. So the idea for networking for children went back as far as the 70s, but the idea was to have it different in each region. So
meaning, like, within, I'm assuming within the UK, like, north,
yes,
south,
within
east, west.
Yeah, so you know how we've got like local news.
Yeah. Meg, I've just clarified.
Yeah, CITV's different in France.
I just want to check.
I love that France was the first one you went to.
It's the
country, France.
The first one I can think of that speaks a different language and doesn't have
Yeah.
ITV.
So yeah, the announcing would be done by the local announcers. So, you know, the people that would do the... Well, it would have been cheaper actually, because local TV is cheaper because it's a smaller production. But yeah, so it was going to have like very prevalent regional identities, and each show would be announced by the local announcer in each region. That idea was stalled until the 80s because on Thursdays, ITV regions were able to choose their own programming.
Oh, that's cool.
That's interesting.
And many chose not to show kids stuff. What a lot of them did was they would have like Looney Tunes.
Right.
Or it's Looney Tunes, actually, isn't it?
Looney Tunes.
One Looney Tune.
So it was, they chose to like do cartoons, but not necessarily stuff programmed for kids, and certainly not stuff that was self-commissioned.
Right. Because children are not a lucrative market at all.
Because a lot of these regions didn't necessarily show kids stuff, or they showed their own thing. It wasn't consistent up and down the country for all the kids, basically. Like, there was some concern that it wasn't consolidated enough, basically.
Right.
So it got stalled until the 80s, and then in 1980 ITV made a more concerted effort to get it more consistent across the country. So in 1980 you got a block of programming called Watch It! That was from 4:15 to 5:15 every weekday, and that is what kids got on ITV.
Post-school telly.
Yeah, exactly. Then something interesting happened. BBC in 1985 revamped CBBC. So what they did was they had live continuity announcing from children's presenters in a studio, like very much like what we have now.
Yeah.
So like the occasional puppet, the same set every time. And it was nicknamed the Broom Cupboard.
Yeah.
You heard of the Broom Cupboard?
Yeah.
So
A lot of people who went on to have very successful careers started their careers in the Broom Cupboard.
and you know who the first one was?
I'm sure I do.
Philip Schofield.
Ah, yes.
Yes. So ITV copied that in 1987. So Gary Terza and Debbie Shaw started presenting live links in a very similar way for CITV. That was how that block was presented and structured until CITV became a thing. So it was the children's block called Watch It, and then CITV happened in 2006.
Wow.
Yeah. So it became its own channel on Freeview in 2006. So the brand started existing in 2006, if that makes sense.
That's so much later than I thought, because that might be why I didn't watch much. I was 8 when that came out. My brother would have been 10, so we...
It didn't even make it to 20 years.
I know. If you want to know about the difference between CITV and BBC, I mean, you can't base it on just one anecdote alone, but you might be interested to know that on Monday, 19th of September 2022, my birthday, but some people might not know that this was the Queen's funeral also.
Yeah.
Normal programmings were replaced by ITV's London feed.
Funeral
by the London feed,
On
yeah.
a kids' channel.
On a kids' channel,
Did
yeah.
CBBC do this?
Nope.
CBeebies did.
Although, this is interesting. Well, I guess you can be the judge of that. I think it's interesting. On the 2nd of September 2023, the morning after the closure of the CITV channel, ITV2 launched a new breakfast time block from 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. every day, featuring shows on ITVX Kids. So currently, this block seems to retain the CITV branding. It's just not on its own channel. So this block is replacing telly shopping and reruns of shows including World's Funniest Videos and Love Bites.
That, I guess, makes sense because imagine you've got like a really young kid who's up. So me and my brother would, on the weekends, would be up way before our parents, right? And watch telly. If you're young enough that you don't know how to get onto ITVX, that's there.
They probably thought that they would get even more backlash if they got rid of all live children's broadcasting.
But that's what you said about being too young to get onto ITVX. That's a good point that people have spoken about. Like, not all kids are online.
Yeah, not all households are capable of. So, like...
Yeah.
Plus, this forces them to be so. Like, it forces you to teach your child how to use the internet, potentially before you want to.
I mean, like, you're like a grandparent. So my grandparents have a smart TV, but that's because my dad bought it for them. It's also now really quite old, so it might not actually, because it's not capable of Now TV or Disney Plus. It wouldn't surprise me if ITVX didn't work on it either. So
ITVX doesn't work.
There's that. But
it's also really janky and I hate it.
That one probably just won't work on their telly, in which case, if my young cousins were there, they couldn't access it.
I was talking to my mum about this as well, and she said, yeah, but also it's just nice to watch things together.
Yeah.
Very difficult to do that if you've got to watch it on an iPad. Like,
it's, I can't remember if it was you or me or who we were talking to about, like, because everything's moving onto streaming, the sort of collective watching that you get from live telly is disappearing. Like, if the whole season's available, people are going to be watching it at different rates. You're not watching things all at the same time. Twitter is a spoiler place.
Yeah. I mean, during periods where none of us are busy, and that doesn't happen very much, I love when we all get together and watch all the quizzes on a Monday night.
Yeah,
I love that.
It is sort of a kick in the face, really, isn't it? When you pay your license fee and then they're like, also, we're going to take away any live children's broadcasting that you pay for. Like, you pay to access the TV, and then you've got to pay more. I mean, I know there's ITVX, but as we've said, the main issue with that is this isn't very user-friendly.
It's terrible.
You have to log in. Kids not going to be able to log in.
Well, you do have to log into Netflix as well.
Yeah, no,
it's not just free.
I know, I'm just...
I mean, we can talk more about what we've lost, because this is our memorial episode. Yeah. But do you want to know, like...
what we've gained?
Oh, well, there are a few things. So...
subtitles. A kid slot on ITV2. Gained that.
Great. 5 a.m.
Brilliant.
So the only thing with that, you could put subtitles on. Maybe you could put audio description on.
That you're jumping ahead. Oh. You've got it. Cool. So Greg Childs of the Children's Media Foundation.
His name is Greg Childs.
Shout out, Greg.
Shout out, Greg. He said that ITV failed to invest in younger viewers from the very beginning,
which is why CBBC was always more popular.
Yeah, it would not build brand loyalty in an early stage, and that children's programming was always loss-making.
Loss-making?
Loss-making.
What does
it makes a loss?
Oh, I see. Okay.
So when CITV launched as a standalone channel in 2006, the company was spending about $35 million a year on children's programming. Before it closed down this year, it was only spending a couple of million every year.
It?
Yeah.
So it's mostly reruns then?
Yeah.
There is a place for that, but...
yeah, sure. And so some people...
yeah, the place for that is ITVX.
The only thing with that, like, is that when you put on Freeview or whatever, and it's just, you're just putting what's on, you don't have to make a choice. It's just there.
Yeah.
The thing is, there's, even in kids' TV, there's, like, the prime commissioning slots.
Yeah.
So, like, when we were kids, there used to be TV shows that, like, Spartacle Mystery used to air at, like, 8 o'clock or 7:30.
What a moment in the culture.
And then, like,
Spartacle
when things
Mystery.
were airing, like, Young Dracula used to air at like 4 or 5, something like that.
Yeah.
Like, I remember the slots that things used to have, because even though it's kids TV, there are the prime commissioning slots. Yeah. So if you really bought into it and you really tried hard with it, you could make things really successful, because shows have been really successful, and then you run the reruns during the day and for outside, for the sick kids and outside of the prime commissioning slots. But
some of the weirdest shit I watched was just reruns while I was off sick.
Yeah, me too. Watch My Chops.
I don't
know why that one really sticks in my head for when I was sick.
It was so weird.
Yeah, but it was good.
It was so good. So a lot of people have blamed the 2006 ban on advertising junk food to children because it reduced budgets. I don't understand that as an argument, because the channel launched in 2006.
Yeah.
So I don't know about that. It should have been
in their business model from the get-go. We can't advertise junk food. We have to find kid-friendly advertisers, which there's tons of.
Were they ever advertising junk food on kids' channels?
Well,
or was it the having to take advertising out of kids' slot, like daytime TV, that money then... The money they got from that, then there was less funding because they basically couldn't advertise junk food at all.
I remember McDonald's adverts.
There was adverts on CITV, but I was going to ask Laura, because Laura knows more about this than I do.
I know there was ads, but because it started in 2006, there would never have been junk food ads on there anyway. So that's not what they're talking about. They're talking about it being on regular ITV, not having a general cut in money across the ITV. Using the ITV, across ITV.
Yeah, so kids advertising in the UK, we have like really strict rules that I'm super in support of. You have to have X amount of content to a very small amount of advertising. So kids adverts in the UK, if you have a 10-minute long program, you can only have something like 3 minutes of adverts. Really, it might be a little bit more than that, but like...
Yeah, that seems like a lot to me.
Yeah,
personally.
That's a regular break.
No, so, I'm trying to think of... There's a percentage amount, and it's quite short. Maybe it's a minute and a half for 10 minutes or something. Per X amount of kids' TV, you can only have a very small amount of advertising, and the list of things that you can advertise are really restricted. Because, I mean, that makes sense. Like junk food, that's probably along a bunch of other stuff that you had to stop advertising, right? Because you had to have advertising that was relevant to children. Like you couldn't be advertising to their parents while watching it with them. Like you can't do that. That's why the adverts that stick out are usually like the longer ones about one product. Because that was safe. That was easy.
Almost like telemarketing it was.
Yeah, because they'll pay quite a bit for those slots. And they'll advertise them a lot to get into kids' minds so they remember to ask for them. That kind
and
of
that's
thing.
allowed, is it?
Yeah, that's allowed, as long as your adverts are only a small percentage of the runtime. Like, technically speaking, a lot of like kids YouTubers break UK laws for how much they're actually talking about.
Of course they do, yeah.
So like, if you have a 20-minute long YouTube video and you have more than a third of that is advertising, you're subject to a really, really, really steep fine in the UK, but it's a hard place to regulate, So
with it being on ITVX now, presumably they will have to stick to those same laws.
Yeah, also, because it's such a jank service, especially their adverts. I feel like that's going to break it. I see so many Domino's adverts on ITVX.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, I really hope that they've,
it's Channel 4, isn't it? Where you get all the Domino's adverts.
Just Eat is a lot on
Just Eat, okay.
Coors? No, that's
Channel 4 comedy.
I used to hate I hate ads anyway, but I think that was one of the main reasons I was put off CITV, because I hated having to sit through ads to watch a TV show. When I could just watch CBBS.
Yeah.
So the BBC, I guess.
Yeah. Product placement is illegal in kids' content. Completely illegal.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because and I think it's totally fair. You cannot, because as adults, we understand that when we see, this is the first one that comes to mind, James Bond holding a Heineken, we understand what they're doing. Whereas a kid is not expected to understand that. Like, they will genuinely think that the person, like, whatever, like Ben 10, he's holding a fucking Heineken. They will think that Ben 10 loves Heineken. They won't know necessarily that Heineken is paid for it to be there, right?
Yeah.
Whereas, so it's just completely illegal in kids' TV.
The government provided £44 million of public funding over 3 years through the Young Adults Content Fund. So this was designed to help children's brands. Commercial brands is what I meant to say. However, last year that fund was axed. The Tories, I guess.
Yeah.
It's very sad. It's really sad.
They love their rich mates more than they like poor kids.
But ITVX has said that it will apparently double its kids' content online. So there will be over 100 shows, over 1,000 hours of programming, and that's including comedy, animation, game shows, live action, sport, whatever. It also claims to have subtitles on all of its content, and 20% of it will be audio described.
How much do you want to bet? Like, I know this has happened in other TV programming, that especially the animation is going to be cheap, barely tried, and absolutely crushing the lives of the animators that are forced to produce it as quickly as possible.
That sounds like most animation, so yeah.
There's been a particular move lately where it's got, like, the streaming services are pushing it even further, and it's all getting lower quality because they're giving them less time, less money, less care, because the animation is easy, quote unquote. Like, it's easy to produce an animated show versus live action because you can hire a smaller number of people and push them to the fucking limit.
What are the chances that there's going to be a really great children's drama that debuts on ITVX Kids? Like, I mean, ITV never really did dramas. That's more of a CBBC thing, I think. But, like...
What's a children's drama?
Spartacle Mystery.
Spartacle Mystery.
I don't know what that is.
We should do it. It's a really good,
we really should.
show.
I never finished it, though. Sarah Jane Adventures is it's a sci-fi, but whatever. Young Dracula.
What was that one with...
Wolf Blood.
Him off at... Oh, the thing is, Young Dracula was more of a drama comedy, wasn't it? The one with him off of Raven, what was that one called? Million... Yeah,
Molly and Mac.
Molly and Mac. And that was CBeebies drama.
It was.
If you watch episodes, it was good, but it was a bit Coronation Street for kids.
It was actually lovely. It was a really, really nice show. It was Balamory with structure and relationships.
I feel like it would be quite difficult to make a children's drama because, like, how invested do children get?
Oh, Tracy Beaker's a drama.
Because I was going to say that's also funny though.
Yeah,
people loved Spartacle Mystery. They loved Young Dracula. They loved Wolf Blood was huge.
Not to tap into my degree, but
you're going to start speaking Spanish.
You got to use it for
one
something.
One of the things that we learn is that nowadays people are very, very, or becoming very, very uninterested in things that are pure drama.
Right.
So things can be drama and have comedy in them because nobody wants to watch something that is just drama. Things have got to be a bit funny as well or people don't want to watch them. So loads of drama films are made, but hardly any of them are popular. Like, so all the like best films ever, they're all I can't remember the exact stat on this, so you can't quote me, but it's like they're really easy to like not commission but like make because they're really simple. They're dramas, but they're not very popular at all
because they're dour and humorless.
So there are loads of drama films, and dramas are more common in TV shows anyway. They're more popular in TV shows, but drama films, loads of them exist, but they're not very popular at all.
It's always been the case though, hasn't it, that the most successful dramas on TV have also been remembered as very funny. Like The Sopranos is funny, there's humour in it. Like Mad Men, there's humour in it. People like to laugh and cry.
The Shakespeare tragedies are funny.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, maybe not if you read them at school, but if you go and see them, they are, because they have to be. Otherwise, Otherwise, who wants to sit through it?
Yeah, this has been known, and kids' TV has done this really well as well.
It's the same thing, really.
I was gonna say it feels like the purest genre film is kind of like has gone by the wayside for ages. But you just said Shakespeare wasn't even it, so it's like it's never really existed.
Yeah,
pure genre stuff just
people don't want to watch things that are just totally unfunny.
So there's a bunch of reasons why CITV has been axed. I don't really buy into the advertising one, but the government fund being slashed, that makes a lot of sense. And another reason that's been given is the rise of streaming, which we're going to talk about.
Kids' watching behaviour is radically different.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so this is according to Barb. So Barb is the Broadcasting Audiences Research Board. So Barb are the people in the UK that monitor viewing. And according to them, average time spent by children watching telly declined by 62% since 2019.
Wow.
So that is the average number of minutes of broadcast TV watched by 4-year-olds.
It would be great if they were going outside, but that's not what's happening.
Yeah, well, viewing has risen by 30%, suggesting a streaming trend, basically. Would you like to know how this board measures viewing figures? Yeah. So it's jointly owned by the BBC, ITV, Channel 4, Channel 5, Sky, the Institute of Practitioners in Advertising, because it's for advertising. It's so you know where to place your ads, basically.
Okay.
So participating viewers have a box on top of their TV sets which tracks the programmes they watch. They also have a special remote. They have special apps on all their devices.
Yeah, it's the same as
Daddy's special grown-up app.
It's the same. It's the same as the US has Nielsen's.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the box records exactly what programs they watch. The panelists indicate how many people are in the room by pressing a button on a remote. The data is collected overnight and published at 9:30 the next day. There's a button for when they're going to make a cup of tea or when they're going to the toilet or something, and they press it again when they come back. It's quite involved. So they currently have approximately 5,100 homes, equating to about 12,000 individuals participating in the panel.
It's not that many.
Right. So this means that with the UK population of about 65 million, according to the 2016 census,
we're
if
about
you must
66
know.
now.
Each viewer with Barb represents over 5,000 people.
Wow.
Yeah.
We should apply.
It's not possible to volunteer.
Oh.
You have to be asked by Ipsos. So if one person tunes into Strictly Come Dancing on a Saturday night, they're representing 5,000 people doing the exact same thing. If they have a break in the middle, they are representing 5,000 people leaving in the middle of Strictly Come Dancing.
Is this how they figure it out? That whole, the phenomenon...
No, the National Grid figured that out.
Okay.
Tell the story.
The people, especially during big events, big sporting events.
And finales of things.
Finales and things that people used to watch a lot of, Big Brother, or when Britain's Got Talent was really popular, that kind of thing. The National Grid would have to compensate for the surge in electricity at breaks in the programme when people would go to the kitchen, put the kettle on and open the fridge. And sort of thing.
Go to the loo.
And go to the loo.
Yeah.
No, that it wasn't the box on top of the TV that knew that. It was a National Grid that knew that.
Maybe they were like, hey, Barb.
This is why we don't have power cuts anymore.
Hey, Barb, is everyone doing the same thing? Is everyone has everyone pushed the button that says I'm going for a cup of tea?
The thing is, that they will have, I imagine, anyway, will have figured that out accidentally, because it's not the sort of thing you predict when technology advances gradually. They will, the first time anything big was broadcast and there was an ad break, and they won't have gone, oh, do you know what, in that ad break, everyone is going to go to their kitchen. I doubt anyone thought of that.
If you get chosen to participate, you are 1 in 5,000. And if you choose to, you earn little vouchers for high street stores.
Oh, I want to be asked.
Yeah,
Ask me.
But it's a whole process. Like, you have to, if you like lose your remote or something, or you keep forgetting to press one particular button, like, there are 4 people whose full-time job it is to monitor for unusual behaviour and give you a little call to remind you.
Right.
I'm not being funny, but how am I going to lose the remote in this house?
Well,
There's literally one place it can be.
the couch can eat it.
Yeah, but I'll get it back. Just got to stick your hand in the couch, didn't you? Get it
It's
out.
not something any of us want to do, but sometimes we have to.
Yeah.
So technically, Barb could, if they wanted to, document Netflix and Amazon Prime and all those things, but they're not going to release that data because they've not been given the okay to do that.
'Cause Netflix does not like sharing viewer numbers.
No, it doesn't. But it doesn't need to, really.
Weirdly, it's like viewer hours, not numbers, just like
Yeah.
9,000 hours of this episode has been watched or some stuff like that, which is
what a flop.
an interesting metric to go with.
Laura, I gave you the little task of researching
little
streaming. Sorry, did you want a little task?
No.
Go make me some coffee.
We
No.
know your role in this is to turn up with good chat. You don't want to research nothing.
I'm happy holding my boob.
Yeah, Meg's holding her boob to stop it from hitting against the mic.
Yeah. In case the first time
It's got a wide reach.
Imagine.
yeah, dear viewers, close your eyes and imagine.
My boob.
Just one.
It's the right one, if you must know. Take it away.
Oh yeah, so we were talking and I was like, oh, we could talk about the history of streaming as it's switched to a streaming service. And I will say, I thought that the history of streaming would be more fascinating than it was. The history of streaming is a lot of like technology advances in like techie stuff. Like, I said to Elsie, I'll do this in chronological order, but the most important development, other than like the actual invention of the internet, but since then, is Adobe Flash. Like, Adobe Flash's invention was so important for how video and pictures and media lives online. But yeah, so the history of streaming, like, the first thing that we would maybe recognize as a precursor to streaming actually is from 1881.
Fuck me.
Which it's called, and I might mispronounce this, so I'll show you guys and you can try it. Theatrophone.
That sounds cool.
Or theatrophone. Like theater-o-phone.
Theatrophone. Cool. I like saying that.
Theato phone.
Yeah. and basically, what you could do is you could phone up this... We'd phone in a line and you could listen to opera live down the phone.
Oh, I've heard of that. Yeah. I have heard of that.
I guess the closest that we have now is actually we partook in this during COVID. Is we watched theatre performances live over Zoom, which I guess would be the descendant of this. That operated until 1932, which I think is actually really cool. I love that people loved opera enough that this was a lucrative business that they operated for 50 years. And then the rest of streaming is, a lot of it is audio. So most of it for a very long time is just audio streaming. Like, there were these jukebox types companies where you'd have a device in your restaurant or whatever that had a line where you could ask the operator to play a particular song and that kind of thing. And it continues as audio until sports became more of a thing that you wanted to do. But again, it wasn't streamed how we view it today. It was more like on... How to phrase this? You were either listening live because you couldn't be there, or later on it was like after the fact you could order it. Right? And then so up until like... So the first actual streaming company in the UK, video on demand service, was Kingston Communication. KCOM.
KCOM. Shout out KCOM.
Which was in 1998 that launched. It was the first service. And it just...
Wait, it was the first service to what?
Video on demand. So like...
KCOM was the first?
Yeah.
Huh.
And now... it owns Hull.
Yeah.
He's riding his slave to KCOM.
Honestly, Hull is in the palm of big KCOM.
What was the do you remember like the Martha era of Doctor Who and like the Torchwood era? Like,
Yeah.
There was that company, wasn't there, that, what was it called? There was like an era of Doctor Who that had like a company that kind of basically enslaved the human race. And I can't remember how.
And that's
what
East
it was called,
Yorkshire.
but that is what KCOM reminds me of.
Yeah, KCOM is the broadband provider of,
and much, much more.
and much, much more of East Riding. And, you know, you either pay for BT or you have KCOM, and my family have been under the iron fist of KCOM for basically as long as I've been alive. No way. That's amazing. Do you want to know another thing that Hull gave the world?
KCOM?
Flat screen technology.
Oh, yeah?
The microcrystals
Oh.
were... I don't know if they were invented or discovered because I don't know anything about them.
Invented.
Well, that happens in Hull University.
Oh, cool.
You're fucking welcome. You are fucking welcome.
Yeah, so
Laura, with your fucking massive PC screen,
which is
welcome.
LED.
Apple, that came from Hull.
Yeah, but without the invention of flat screen technology, you wouldn't have it. It paved the way.
Okay.
You're fucking welcome.
As if you guys don't have monitors.
You're fucking welcome, laugh.
But just imagine all those things that, like, all that flat screen has given us.
Laura's reading off a flat screen right now.
Wait, so basically, up until this, like, even in 1998, like, the issue with any kind of streaming is that CPU and bandwidth capabilities were just not up to par.
Kapoo.
So you couldn't feasibly stream like we do today, because what you'd be getting is one frame every like 5 hours. Like, you just couldn't do it. And like, there were privacy things that they hadn't invented, so it was more like so Netflix started out as a DVD mail order service. Like, and that's like just not Boomerang, what were they called? Blockbuster. But mail order instead of have fun trip to the shop.
How
I think
quick to forget.
Blockbuster did become mail order as well, I'm pretty sure.
You know, there are still Blockbusters that exist. There are still stores. Like,
Power to them.
Honestly, there's like 2.
Yeah.
There was like a parody Twitter account called The Last Blockbuster, and it was just deranged tweets from the staff that are still in there, just slowly going crazy.
Imagine working in the last Imagine working in the last Blockbuster. It'd be like being in a zombie apocalypse.
It's like being on the front line.
Yeah.
You know those Japanese soldiers that they found wandering the woods who still thought that the war was on?
Only if this last Blockbuster is in the middle of the woods.
Why are there no customers?
It's not enough nostalgia to justify going to a Blockbuster.
Because no one has a VCR player anymore.
We're a bit young as well to actually find Blockbuster nostalgic. It's just...
We went loads.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, I remember going in. I remember where it was, but I don't remember.
We would go.
Really.
We would go and we'd have like a family watch of something. We'd choose something to watch and we'd buy like ice cream and stuff because they had snacks and stuff there. We'd
had a popcorn thing.
Yeah, we had like a family movie night.
Oh.
Like being at the cinema.
I remember getting I remember getting Shrek from Blockbuster.
One
or two. I don't remember which one, but I remember when it came to Blockbuster and we were like, yes, let's watch Shrek.
Everyone was queuing around the corner at Blockbuster like it was iPhone 5.
But yeah, so basically with the advent of P2P software, HTML, HTTP, all these things, it became more possible because people also had the personal computer capacity to actually, well, initially like stream JPEGs, which is a weird concept, but yeah, it was really...
You could stream JPEGs?
Yeah. Thing called Streamworks. They would stream JPEGs. I don't fully know what that means, but... And then it became MPEGs, which is, yeah. We don't use MPEGs anymore.
Isn't that a tag on AO3?
AO3 has been banned in China.
Hasn't everything?
I was kind of surprised it hadn't already been.
MPEG!
I'm good, aren't I?
That's very good.
That's why I'm here.
If you don't understand the joke that Meg made,
don't look.
Congratulations for avoiding that knowledge.
I can't speak for every other country, but I can speak for 3 countries that I know off the top of my head. I think the UK has a special place in like online streaming because so many of our Freeview shows, our Freeview channels are online and available just with ads for free. Like Channel 4, ITV, Channel 5, BBC.
Yeah, all for free. Yeah.
No ads on BBC. There more?
Sky?
Dave?
Sky has ads.
Is
Did you
it?
say Sky?
No, I didn't say
Yeah,
that.
you do have to pay for Sky, though.
You have to pay for Sky.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Like, I know that's not...
I should have been listening.
I know that kind of thing isn't really available in the US. I know that thing isn't available in Singapore. Like, the concept of online local channels in Singapore is no.
I mean, we do all those things you mentioned, we get with a license fee. And I think that's a better way of viewing things.
Yeah, I actually agree.
When everything gets put behind a paywall as well as having the license fee, and you've also got this problem now of, and it's happening a lot in animation especially, where things get made, they get put only on streaming services and physical media has stopped existing now. And then when those streaming services take them away, there's no evidence of a lot of people's work. It can't be viewed anymore. And it's a lot of animators are really upset about it.
I don't know if you saw them, and I don't know how real they were, but did you see the tweet of the vaguely threatening TV license ads? The billboards that said things like, "We're alerted every time a household buys a TV, just so you know."
Yes, they are very, very militant.
Yeah, they are.
The thing is...
They're very, we know when you've not paid your license fee, and we're just letting you get away with it for the time being.
Well,
we'll come to your house and we'll fuck you up.
My mum has a friend without a TV, but they go to her address and say, "You haven't paid your license fee," and she's like, "I don't have a TV just because I'm a..." But I do think that it's like paying a tax on entertainment, and I prefer it like that than having to... I don't know, I think it brings a bit of community. Everyone's forced to watch the same thing.
It's nice to have something that's publicly owned.
Yeah,
that's how I view it.
No, yeah, you're right.
My brother's place, not to out them, they don't have a TV license, and they've never really been like faced with that being an issue. Like, they've never come to their house.
Brother lives in a very 60% of the population of the city your brother lives in is students, and they might not bother going to houses where people move around so much.
It'd be more difficult to...
I remember my dad saying, actually, when he's listened to this episode, he will correct me on what I'm about to say, but he said something about when he was at uni, them cutting the plug off their TV so they could claim they didn't pay the TV license, and now the TV licensing people are going to listen to this podcast, backdate this, and find my dad.
Also, like, the TV license people come to my uni building, and like, we have told them several times, we're a university building. There aren't TVs in here. It's an educational office building. There are no TVs here. They still keep sending letters. They just don't. I don't know if the whole system's a little bit not great, or they just will relentlessly do it.
I bet that's what your life is, though, if you're one of the people that work for TV licensing and they send you out and you're like, I've been to this university building every year for the last 5 years, but they're making me go again.
So BBC iPlayer, which is, I think, one of the more known ones.
It's one of the older ones, isn't it? It's one of the first ones.
Yeah, it's one of, I think, ITV actually might have beat them to it from what I was reading. But so BBC iPlayer started first with, I actually remember this, where you couldn't watch stuff live on their service. You had to go there and download it. Then you could watch it.
Yes, I do remember this. Yeah.
And then about that.
The next year, I think either 2007, 2008, they switched to being able to watch it on their website.
So
when everyone's internet was getting better.
Yeah. And Flash was invented.
Yeah.
I'm going to try and awkwardly circle back to the kids' TV thing.
Sure.
Whatever the truth is about kids not watching TV, and I do think that those results are maybe, I mean, you know, as we discussed, it's one individual representing 5,000, but it would cost too much to do anything more specific than that.
Well, you could No, that would cost too much to like put it on. Do a little TV census.
It's the cheapest way to get accurate results.
But I think when it comes to very young kids, I don't know how accurate that can actually be.
Do you know what they're watching a lot of?
Bluey?
YouTube.
Yeah.
My cousins love stupid shit on YouTube. Like, they'll just be like, oh, we watched this really cool thing on YouTube, and it's like 10 most useless inventions. I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah, YouTube is an absolute nightmare for regulation.
Well, a secondary level of redundant. Why am I watching a 10-minute video about the most useless things that have been invented? It's not interesting.
Sometimes I find myself on that corner of YouTube and I actually feel my brain getting eaten away and I just have to log off.
There are lots of things as well that kind of dangerous content that goes around on YouTube, but if it's not specifically listed as for children, YouTube monitoring can't do anything about it.
I mean, we've all seen that TED Talk. I think everyone in the world has seen that TED Talk at this point.
What TED Talk?
The one about the YouTube algorithm throwing really awful things up at kids.
Yeah.
The thing is, you can set your child's YouTube to be just for kids, but that's the thing. If they're coming across stuff and you've not done that, it introduces a level of responsibility on parents that they didn't used to have.
And kids are more likely to find themselves on YouTube if they're watching ITVX Kids on an iPad.
Yeah, so like YouTube Kids, I only know with regard to one particular YouTuber. So Logan Paul breaks a bunch of kids' laws within the UK. And if you go on YouTube Kids, if you search Logan Paul, nothing comes up. But if you take out the space, there he is. Like, it's really not hard to get around the children gating that YouTube has tried to implement.
Because there's, like, it was so much harder to do, when we were kids and, like, you had only live TV and maybe a family computer. The worst that ever happened to me was scrolling down and finding Babe Station.
which is on the telly as well, if you just go like backwards enough.
God, it's going to be a sad day when they decommission Babe Station. What am I going to do of an evening?
It's all online now, Meg.
It's all
yeah.
Is it?
Well...
Give me a piece of paper.
I mean, I said on the very first episode of this podcast that it's one of the reasons I wanted to start it is because this country is very good at making really high quality children's content. And it's like a point of pride that we have, or we had, 3 separate channels specifically for children.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now there's one because CITV has gone, and I think CBeebies as well.
Mm-hmm.
And CBBC is also set to be axed.
When?
I think the end of next year. I think. Well, I'm not sure about that. I know that that's an option, and it's been discussed. And I think it's really sad because me and my brother and sister have memories of watching things together.
Yeah.
Like, it's just the atomization of culture, and it's starting at age 4 now, and I think it's a real shame.
It's not even just nostalgia, it's that there used to be a level of equality. Like, everyone had access to the same thing. It wasn't like dependent on whether your family could afford Disney Channel. Everyone had a TV, so everyone had access to all the same TV shows. Obviously, unless you had Sky, but at the same time, you like, you still know of these programs.
Yeah.
It's not like you didn't watch these programs.
They were available.
To you, so it's sad.
Now it's dependent if you have a good Wi-Fi connection, if you have multiple devices in your house, because maybe one of your parents is watching something and you want to watch it.
Kids are going to get left behind.
Yeah,
I feel sad because there's so much policing done. Like, this is a bit of a side thing, but did you see today or yesterday, I don't know if you follow Lucy Bowman on Twitter, but she retweeted a BBC Look North tweet to an article about a school in East Riding, I don't remember what school it was, that fined, or a child got sent home or got into trouble for, instead of wearing the school issued version of a school skirt that they would get bought through the school or bought through the uniform supplier, it was from I don't remember what it was like Primark, but it was a lower end, a cheaper version of a skirt, and a child got into trouble for wearing it.
Yeah.
And it's like, how can you do that to a child?
Yeah.
Because Lucy Beaumont's point was, if that had happened to her, she would never have wanted to go to school again. And it's like, why are you punishing... Why are you punishing children for something that's out of their control? And why are you punishing parents for trying their best?
Yeah, my primary school, you were like, you have to wear a white shirt and grey bottoms. We bought ours from Tesco.
Yeah, it's like wherever you can get them from. Doesn't matter. And this made me so sad.
And the fact that it's starting with really young kids, if some children have access to... Because not all kids get taught things by their parents. Like, some parents don't pay that much attention, some are incredibly busy, some are single parents. You know, it's... Everyone's home life is different, and there used to be 2 channels for very young kids that were mostly educational, and everyone had that. And now it makes a big difference at a young age, right? Some kids are going to be way ahead of others when they start school because of this.
I don't think it happens much in this country, but I know some countries cap the Wi-Fi usage. So, like, I know in South Africa, I have friends that they can only use X gigabytes of broadband a month. Imagine if we had that. We might, on like much lower tiers of Wi-Fi, or different companies I'm unaware of, actually have that. In which case, if you wanted to watch ITVX Kids, you can't. Maybe you've capped your Wi-Fi for the month. You literally can't watch it.
That is a very good point that I didn't think of. Yeah, not all Wi-Fi is unlimited. Like, I don't know if my mum and dad do have unlimited Wi-Fi, but I know at a point they didn't. And I remember my dad coming home once during the school holidays and telling me off because I'd been on the computer all day. And I was like, I'm home alone.
Laura, tell us about monopolies.
Well, yeah, so streaming services, I'd never put it into this context, right? A lot of streaming services, one of their main things that they really push forward is their own content, right? Which, when it was framed as this to me, I was like, oh, I hate that, right? So it's type of sort of antitrust thing. In 1948, it started a little bit before this, but the final court date was in 1948. The US took a bunch of production companies to court. They took MGM, well, it's called US versus Paramount Pictures, but they took MGM, Warner Bros., Fox, RKO, Universal, Columbia, United Artists. They took them to court because what they were doing, it was called vertical integration. Do you guys know what that is?
No.
So this is some GCSE economics. When you have a business, if you want to expand your business, there's different directions you can go in, and they each have different names. Vertical integration is owning other levels of the same sort of production line. So with movies, you have production, distribution, and if either of you know, feel free to chime in. Production, distribution, and exhibition.
And exhibition.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what was happening is the studios were buying up cinemas. So at this point in time, they owned 17% of the cinemas in the States and accounted for 45% of film revenue was just these studios. And the US government was like, it was creating an oligopoly because there were, I love that word, oligopoly. Basically, an oligopoly is the supermarkets in the UK. Is an
That's what Tolkien calls elephants.
The UK supermarket market.
Supermarket
market is an oligopoly because you have several big parties owning huge chunks of it, right?
Yeah.
So it was the same situation here. They were colluding to own the market in a way that gave them all the money and all of the control. And the US government was like, no. And it took them a while, but they did win in the end. And they just tried to stop them from squashing independent things, squashing foreign films, all these other things. And in particular, one thing called block buying, which I don't think would happen now, but it's basically when especially an independent cinema would be forced to buy a whole parcel of films from one production studio without even knowing what they were. They wouldn't even see, like, they would give them good movies and then shit movies that they just had to purchase and then do nothing with. And so they made it stop, and surprisingly actually worked. Like, it's so weird to hear of the US government taking these companies to task, because that just doesn't happen anymore. And I think that the same fucking thing is happening with streaming, because you have Netflix making Netflix shows and only exhibiting them on Netflix. It's the same thing. They're owning all the stages and forcing out non-Netflix content, suppressing things that are then not going to go anywhere, right? So like the animation thing you said.
Yeah. It's a walled garden.
Yeah, and then like Disney as well. Disney's probably the main one that's doing this, because they're gatekeeping media that used to be like very loved by lots of people, and it's like you might not even be able to buy DVDs of some Disney films. You can only get it on Disney Plus. I personally think this is illegal antitrust operations. My brother did say when I was talking to him about this, he was like, it feels weird to tell a company that they can't host their own content. But I think...
No, because you wouldn't be saying you can't host your own content. You'd be saying you cannot have your content exclusively hosted on your platform.
Yeah.
That's what you'd be saying.
And then, so after this stuff was put into place, there was like a 60% increase in independent cinemas and foreign films and independent
that's amazing.
films. Loads of, like, there's really genuinely good things that came of it. They actually in 2019 repealed it.
Oh.
Yeah, like I didn't know that.
I thought the future was bright.
I didn't know that until I was doing this. They were like, in the next few years, we're going to repeal this. It's called like sunsetting this decree. And so it now means that the reason they said was because they don't think that it could happen in the modern cinemascape. I think that's bullshit, because it is just happening with streaming services.
Yeah. I mean, ITV is not publicly owned, but supported by adverts, and anyone can watch anything on ITVX, but there is a paid version to get it without ads,
Ad-free,
which, yeah.
Which is... Wasn't Netflix... Are they still trialling that, or did it have too much backlash? They were going to introduce ads, weren't they?
Yeah.
And then you had to pay... So you had to pay for Netflix with ads, and then you had to pay a premium to have it without ads. And then it's like, you have to pay a premium for the screens, this, that, the other, blah, blah, blah.
I just think that... Because, like, I remember when Netflix and stuff first was a thing, and it was like, oh, this is awesome. You have so much TV in this one place. You don't have to pay that much for it. We can watch so many things from so many places by so many different people. I know that there's obviously the whole side of it that is currently being... the whole strikes are about them not getting paid properly, the dividends from streaming stuff being terrible. But acknowledging that, but then also being like, oh, this is an amazing place with loads and loads of stuff. Now... there's a fraction of the stuff, and if you want the same access to things, you have to pay for like 5 different fucking services, and it's like, no.
Yeah.
Why would I do that? Like, fuck that.
What's your favourite one at the minute, though? I generally, because we don't have Sky, do, at the moment, default to Now TV, because I love Sky's originals. I think they're really
good. Yeah. And also that includes... HBO,
which we do not have in the UK. It's just Sky Atlantic.
So,
I think.
Sky Atlantic.
I like that Now TV encompasses those.
Yeah,
but
Now TV probably is the widest gambit of stuff.
Yeah, it's got a lot on it.
They used to have, well, obviously they split it into different packages. So if you wanted everything that Now TV offers, it's really expensive.
But there's so many now that, like, the easiest way to find out where to watch something is just to type it into Google, and Google will tell you where you can watch it.
Google has they put a little button, watch film, like where to watch the film, and it...
My favourite is Box of Broadcasts, which is a service you can hack into if you have someone else's uni details.
Yeah. Or if your uni's not locked you out yet.
Yes, mine has. And it's basically got screen records of everything ever for educational purposes. So I once watched The Shining with adverts from Channel 4, and they're actually fun to watch as well. I didn't mind the adverts because there are things that were on in like 2010 and it's like, I remember that advert and it's like a real wormhole, like it's a real trip down memory lane.
The only thing I ever found with Bob was that it wasn't, I never found it particularly user-friendly.
Yeah, no, it's not.
Especially their search is quite janky.
Especially because I used it the most in my first year of uni when we lived in halls, had halls Wi-Fi, and my room was next to the elevator shaft, which blocked out a lot of internet connection in my room, so it was hard to do anything.
It's very good for kids TV, for old kids TV. If you can't find it on YouTube, you will find it on Bob.
Or things that the BBC have taken off of iPlayer, because like
Sadie J
that
we could not access on iPlayer, and you can't get a DVD of it either.
They were going to release a DVD of it and then they didn't bother.
So thank you to whoever recorded that and uploaded it to YouTube.
Because I watched And Then There Were None, because I really, really loved the recent BBC adaptation, but it wasn't on iPlayer, it wasn't on any streaming service.
What about BritBox?
I couldn't download it.
The thing is, am I wrong in thinking BritBox used to be free or used to be less expensive? Because my mum and dad had it for a while and it was quite good, but they got rid of it because
I don't know if it used to be free.
It used to. The thing about BritBox was that it was everything in one place, but a lot of the stuff that you could get on BritBox you could also get on the individual free streaming services.
Because I've never used BritBox. Most of my interaction with BritBox is going, like, you search for something, it says it's on Amazon Prime, you click through and it's like $7.99 with BritBox.
Yeah, BritBox is mostly good for people not in the UK that want to watch the Great British Bake Off or something. Because they don't have iPlayer, so...
This is a whole thing as well with, not to bring sport into it, but the Premier League and it choosing to air some things on some things on Prime and some things on Now TV, and like... So there's already, like, big contention about the fact that... So, like, for example, in the UK, you can't... Then they're not allowed to broadcast 3 p.m. kickoffs, but they are allowed to broadcast them outside the UK. So if you live outside the UK, you can watch more British football than if you live in the UK. And there's like, I don't know, I feel like it's just a matter of time before they come out with their own sports streaming service, because it's like, you can pay for Sky Sports, you can pay for BT Sport, and still not access all the sport, which just feels really jank. It's like I'm paying so much money and I still can't access everything.
Let's all try together to bring this to a close. I'm not sure how to wrap it up, but I know that I need to put some water in my body, so...
God, it's nothing free anymore.
It's hard. Nothing was ever free. Nothing was ever free, man.
I didn't ask to be here.
Actually, primary school was free. We had to pay for books and clothes.
And you got told off if you weren't wearing the right kind of skirt, Laura.
Literally nothing has ever been free. Never mind.
Is that all we're going to leave this on?
Nothing's ever free. Everything costs money.
Only 2 things in life are certain.
Death and taxes.
Yeah.
Who said that, folks?
Don't know.
I can't remember. Benjamin Franklin.
Was it?
I have no idea. I'm just guessing.
Yes, it was.
No.
Yes.
Wow.
Written by American statesman Benjamin Franklin.
Yes. I do.
You're amazing.
I'm gonna end it on that because that's actually uplifting, and if we carry on this subject, we're gonna bring ourselves down again.
Nothing's free, but you can guess things sometimes.
Our joy just then free.
Yeah. Oh, that was nice.
You can find us on Instagram at Thots TV, but the O is a 0.
You can find us on Twitter at Thots__TV.
And you can email us at thotstv2002@gmail.com.
Thank you for listening, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here with me, guys.
I'd tell you to sign a petition, but it's already gone. You can find it on ITVX Kids, though. Bye.
If you'd like to give even more money than the money you give to your streaming services, and
we're not a big corporation, we are poor.
You can access bonus content by giving us money too.
Yeah.
Wherever you get your
podcasts?
Links, I was
your links. Wherever you get your exclusive content.
See you in 2 weeks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.